I tell you, it's kind of tough coming from a legendary country music family, but then it's got its benefits too, I guess. You know?
Well, you've certainly come a long ways from. Can you take us way back, maybe in childhood, and how? Because we talked for a few minutes, and you said it was really your brother Lefty that got all this music going. But what happened in childhood to even get him to that point?
Well, you know, Lefty, as we was talking, I believe the music started with him, of course. He's the oldest out of 8. He was 24 years older than me.
Right.
So that's, I mean, he even had a daughter older than me that when I was about 12, and she'd call me Uncle Al, and I just hated that. It just didn't seem right, you know. But when he was 9 years old, he had a radio show even, his own radio show. He went out and got the sponsors and everything.
Now, where was this at?
In Texas somewhere,
Okay.
yeah. And but it started with him, and you know, it's with him. Of course, most people that you know remember Lefty. He influenced probably more singers in country music than anybody. I mean, Merle Haggard being the obvious, but George Jones, Randy Travis, Keith Whitley, and you know, on and on. You know, but he and I guess he. If you can see how he influenced others, I guess it's easy to see how he influenced the younger brother too.
Sure,
you know.
sure.
But he was a big influence for us. He's the one that he had the record for the most songs in the top 10 at one time until just recently. He had 4 songs in the top 10 at once, and then Michael Jackson just recently, since he died, went to 9. When they released everything, you know, so. But he had the record until then, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So, now you're singing Christian music now, right? Mm-hmm. But how did it go from singing secular music to?
Well, I was saved when I was 16 years old.
Oh, really?
And I tried to put a little group together and tried to go around to churches, and back then I didn't know anything about it, but just locally kind of. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't get the encouragement from the churches or for my family as far as that's concerned. And I think that's why today young people, especially, I really try to encourage them because anybody as far as that's concerned. But finally, after a few years of doing that. You know, the Lord never leaves us, but we can leave Him.
Right.
And that's what happened with me. Is I finally fell out of fellowship with Him and went into country music, the family business, so to speak.
Right.
You know, and for many years played clubs, grew up in nightclubs playing, you know, from a teen and everything, and then. In the early 80s, with another brother that some people might remember out there, David Frizzell, he had a song that was Song of the Year called "You're the Reason God Made Oklahoma."
I remember that.
Then he had a song that was Song of the Year called "Gonna Hire a Wino to Decorate Our Home." Now, I don't know, even the Christians, I know they've listened to that song.
I've heard it.
But anyways, I was with them, and we had some success. And you know, back then, we really had all the success that the world could offer. I mean, we were headlining shows. We had, you know, all that, like I said, the world could give us. We had 3 buses, an airplane, and working for thousands of people. But at that time, I still didn't have that joy and that peace that I'd had before, that I'd known before.
So you remembered that?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
And I'll be honest. I mean, and there was no reason for it, but I ended up falling into alcohol, into drugs. I had never even seen a drug till I was 30 years old. But with the success, it was all around you. And I finally was trying to just see how I could destroy my life.
Well, if there's something missing, you know, in
that's
your life,
exactly right. You just start searching.
Right.
And you would think with having everything, you know, I used to say, well, I can buy anything I want as long as I can fit it in this bus. Yeah. Because, you know, I'm never home.
Right.
But you know, I didn't have that. And then, and it's a long story, but to make a long story short, a few years later, like I said, I was just going down that destructive road trying to destroy myself. And I met my wife, Gail, and she was a Christian. she came and she told me, she says, now I'm not going to be, and she says, I respect it, but I'm not going to be one of the ladies that sits in church praying for her husband to finally come. She says, I'm going to be right with you, but I'm going to be praying and praying for you. And sometimes I think it's harder for someone that's been close to the Lord and they fall away. They're sometimes harder to reach, or to, I don't know, you get that hardness or something.
Right.
I don't know. But anyways, I just got to say, she never quit praying for me, and the Lord never gave up on me. And I feel like the prodigal son, because I came back. She finally got me in church. I rededicated my life. And when I did, I actually got off the road, and we had a daughter. Our daughter, Olivia Jade, at the time was about a year old. And I got off the road. I wanted to raise my children in church. And really, I did the music at church for 12, 15 years. And at that time, I had a lot of people I would write some gospel songs, and they would say, well, why don't you do a project or a CD or whatever? And I said, well, to me, that's holy ground,
Right.
And it is, but only by His grace can we do that. And but I said, if the Lord wants me to do that, He'll let me know. And He did. He finally did. He called me to be working on this project, and I started writing on the songs. Now at the same time in Nashville on Music Row, we had a production company, a publishing company with writers and a studio, and was making a great living and doing really well. Had everything for my family. A big home and all the vehicles. I was spoiled, and
Yeah.
And but during this time, when you try to do something for the Lord, that's when you find out just how real Satan is.
Oh.
Because he gave me a time, boy, and during that, because all the trouble he was giving me, with lots of prayer and everything, that's when the Lord, I felt, called me at that time to go full time into. And then when I say full time, I have met so many other singers, evangelists, whatever, and they say, well, we've worked for so many years, we finally were able to go full time. Well, I didn't know any better. The Lord told me, close down your business and go out for me. And I felt like I had no choice. I had ran from Him for so many years, and I was so happy to be back in His arms again. Nothing feels better than coming back to the Lord.
Amen.
And so I promised Him that the rest of my days was going to be serving Him.
Well, let me go back just a minute ago. You said that you really know the enemy's real
Right.
after you start serving the Lord.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah.
what keeps you, though, from saying, well, I don't want any
Well,
more of this?
Well, I heard someone say that at that time, you questioned, was I right, Lord? Is this what you really wanted me to do?
Right.
And that does cross your mind, especially at first. But it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's like when you're saved. If you're saved, you know that you know that you know.
Right.
If it's real. And it's the same thing when you get a calling from the Lord. You know that you know.
Right.
And I told my wife, I said, He wants us to close everything down and go out for Him. And she says, well, hallelujah, all right. What do we do? I said, I don't know, But, and you still have the bills, you still have all the stuff. But, and I'm not putting no credit on me, it's all the Lord. I just said, all I know is we're closing everything down, and that's it, and He'll provide a way. And we called an old pastor where I had went and rededicated my life, and we went to their church. Didn't even go to the church, our own church. We went somewhere else to play our first concert, and we played the first one. And then our first year, the calls just immediately started coming in from nowhere. I don't know, and the Lord just put it together. And I've got to say this, that one of the things that I was dreading, and I did tell the Lord, I said, Lord, I'm going to serve You and I'm going to go out. But Lord, I hate going back out on that road.
Yeah.
It's lonesome out there. It's tough, and I said, but I'll do whatever You want. And at the time, my daughter, Olivia Jade, she was about 17, and her dream was to do country music. And we had interest with a major label for her. And we went to this was all at the same time I was putting a deal together for me to start trying to go out. And we went to this big preaching conference. And during that, she had, of course, had already been saved years before. But she came to me afterwards. She says, I gave my talents to the Lord. I don't want to do the other. I want to go out and serve the Lord with you. Now, to me, that's special because being a young person and giving up the world. I mean, look how long it took me to give up the world. But that being a young person and doing that I mean, it gives me chills right now. That is something. And and then my wife and I, we went to our son, who was about 13 at the time, and we told him, well, you ain't got no choice, you're with me, here we go. And I started working with him, and he's a very talented musician. I started working with him, and the Lord, I would have never dreamed it. A few years before, I would have said, you're crazy.
Right.
But the Lord knew what, as
And
always, He put it all
together.
together. Now we're all out here together and serving Him, and oh, it's just, it's great. And my wife, I mean, she is the backbone.
Sure.
She works the hardest. She does it all, I tell you. And of course, the biggest job is probably putting up with me. But
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a taste of all three of you
All
together
right.
here in a minute. So let's have a quick commercial break.
All right.
When we get back, I'll see all three of you on the stage. So thank you so much. We'll be right back.
All right. I tell you, this next song we're really proud of. It was #1 in the Christian country charts and also just went #1 in the Southern gospel charts. And my dad years ago told me, he said, always be a man of your word or you ain't worth nothing. And this simply says, if you'll be a man of His word, you'll be a man of your word. It goes like this. My dad was from a different place in time than we live today. He believed everyone should be up before the break of day, that a man could earn his living by the sweat of his brow, and a marriage was a lifetime vow. Round town he never had the sign on no dotted line, 'cause a handshake from him would do just fine. It's hard to find that kind of man in today's world. He was a man of his word. And it said, you've got to give a man a full day's work for his pay. Don't stop and listen to what everybody's got to say, but take the time to help your fellow man. Know what you believe in. Take a stand. Always live your life for the good Lord and be a man of His word. Yes, sir. I thank my dad for teaching me all the things he did, taking me to church on Sunday when I was a kid, where I found Jesus between the fire and the brimstone. I heard made me a man of His word. It's that you've got to give a man a full day's work for his pay. Don't stop and listen to what everybody's got to say, but take the time to help your fellow man. Know what you believe in. Take a stand. Always live your life for the good Lord and be a man of his word. Always live your life for the good Lord and be a man of his word. I want to introduce our family. This is our son, Cagney Frizzell, my right-hand man. And this is our daughter over here, Olivia Jade. She's going to do you a very special song.
He counts the stars, one and all, knows how much sand is on the shores, sees every sparrow that falls, made the mountains and the seas. He's in control of everything, of all creatures great and small. He knows my name, every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear I cry. He knows my name when I'm overwhelmed by the pain, can't see the light of day. I know I'll be alright. He knows my name. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. I can't tell you what's in store. I don't know a lot of things. I don't have all the answers to the questions of life, but I know in whom I have believed. He knows my name, every step that I take, every move that I make, every tear I cry. He knows my name when I'm overwhelmed by the pain, can't see the light of day. I know I'll be alright. He knows my name. He knew